Good morning, beloveds. Whew, okay. I have an interesting title to get to. Yeah, I have nothing preamble. I'm just like, We have an interesting title today. It is August 23rd. Our title is God, My Mind. And our author is Fannie Brooks James, and it's from Truth and Health, 1901. If you don't know who Fannie Brooks James is, she is one of the divine science people. And Ernest Holmes was, when he was ordained into ministry, it was by the divine science people. So that's how he became a minister, and then ended up starting his own organization. So he had to be talked into it. He really didn't want to start his own organization. He wanted to teach people treatment and have them take the method of treatment back into their own religious practice. And but people came to Science of Mind, learned it, and didn't want to go home. Didn't want to go back to their original religious practices. And I think part of it is because Ernest said, hey, you know what? My teacher Emma said there's good in the universe, and you ought to have it. And a lot of the religions don't teach that. They come from this place of you're a sinner and you need to spend your entire life on your knees begging for forgiveness. And New Thought went, no, God, Jesus came to fulfill in love, and Jesus told us that we were beloved children of God. Let's act like that. Let's work from that standpoint. Let's act like beloved children of God. Let's work from the standpoint of beloved children of God. And so you can see why a lot of people came to Science of Mind, which is New Thought, and stayed. Why wouldn't you want to stay in a spiritual teaching that teaches you that you are good, and that when you make a mistake, it's not the end. You can make amends and go forward, that you live in a state of grace, I think is what I'm trying to say. All right, well, apparently I did have a preamble. Based on Fannie Brooks James. So, August 23rd, God, My Mind. And she starts out with a quote. It says, Bible, I stir up your pure mind by way of remembrance. I let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, that ye may with one mind and mouth glorify God. Okay, so that was in quotes, or italics. So I'm guessing that was a quote. This is her. It is my privilege to keep ever in the pure thought of truth, for God hath given me God's mind. The mind that was in Christ Jesus is in me. God is the only mind. This is my mind. There is no other. I glorify God by remembering that this mind of mine is perfect, giving me today thoughts and words of perfection. My mouth cannot transgress. The mind that is all is pure. As partakers of the one only mind, our thoughts are pure. One mind, omnipresent, is the mind of all. I acknowledge this as my mind, my all intelligence. I could know nothing outside this one mind, for it is all knowledge and understanding. A statement to be learned. I rely this day upon one mind for my wisdom and clear judgment. Well, she didn't pull any punches, does she? And that's what New Thought teaches. That's what divine science and Christian science and Science of Mind, that's what they all teach. They teach that we are individualized centers of God. And that all of the presence, all of the presence, the wisdom, the power is present in every point in God. Now, then we get accused of thinking we're God. No, we don't. we recognize that we are individualized points within God. There is no way that any of us could be all of God. In fact, if you want to get right down to it, it's like looking at the night sky. You realize that you are an insignificant part of God, infinitesimally small. And yet I use the word insignificant, but you're not. I use it in the mathematical term, but not in the emotional term, because no point in God is insignificant. All of God is present in every point. So you're not insignificant from the emotional, just from the mathematical term. That's one of the reasons why I like to say divine spark or divine splinter. Because we are little individualized centers within God, but we are within that God. And so, as she says, all of that intelligence, all of that love, all of that joy is available to us. And it is up to us to make a choice to use it, to allow it to flow through us. And then it's a reminder that evil isn't a power in and of itself. It's a choice. So she says, my mouth cannot transgress. Well, okay, your mouth cannot transgress if you are working in love. All right? If you are working in love, your mouth cannot transgress. Your mind cannot transgress. But if you choose not to work in love, well, then you are making a different choice. And that's what Science of Mind teaches. It all does come down to choice. Do you choose to recognize the one power, to recognize the one love, to recognize that all around you is God? Do you choose to use the mind that Christ used? And that's why I talk about the Christ like a software. And I do. My mother is an electrical engineer. I literally grew up with a computer in my house. Because she ordered that kit when I was like 10, 12, maybe. And so Jesus was a person who recognized what the Christ consciousness was and used it to the fullest extent. And that's what makes Jesus so amazing. So, and that's one of the things that New Thought did, is they took this hard look at Jesus and went, you know what? He's not an exception. He's an example, because Jesus himself said, all of these things that I do, you will do, and more. So he's not the exception, he's the example, because we all come pre-installed with the Christ consciousness, which is what we call it in the Western in modality. If we were in the Eastern modality, we would call it the Buddha consciousness, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Buddha and Jesus used the same consciousness to come to the realizations that they did about the world, that there's one source. And it's up to us to come into alignment with that source and to follow that source out to its natural conclusion. It's all God. Because Buddha was just a man. Buddha was just a man. Buddha recognized that there was a power bigger than he was. And if you go and look, there's been like 27 or 28 Buddhas. It's just the first one was the most famous. And so, which kind of makes me a little sad for Christianity, when you realize that, Buddha was like, anybody can do this, let me teach you how. And Jesus came and said, anybody can do this, let me teach you how. And nobody else has been able to follow it up to the level that he had. Well, I shouldn't say that. Probably there are people out there who are running that Christ consciousness to the fullest level. They just haven't gotten as famous as Jesus did. Because the world has a tendency to shout out the good, which is why we do what we do. So, which is recognizing that the mind that we use is God's. It's God's. It belongs to spirit. It's made of spirit. And we've just taken this little corner of it and made it us. And I could argue that we've made it us, then I could argue that God made it us. God decided in this material realm to have this set of experiences. This is the vessel that I need. And I'm going to put my mind in this vessel, and all of my mind is available to it. We can't use all of God's mind while we are in the material realm. It's a limit that we take on when we choose to manifest material. But what Fannie is reminding us is the mind that we use is God's mind. Therefore, anything that we might want, need, desire that is in alignment with the qualities of God are available to us. What it might take, and you're going to pardon my, as we like to say, pardon my French, we need to shut up and listen. We need to shut up and listen. So, which is why, that you hear the quote, be still and know that I am. If you want anything from God, you state, this is what I want. And then you be still and know. And then the guidance that will bring you to, notice I said bring you to what you want, will happen. I would say probably 98% of the time, what we want doesn't come to us. We are brought to it because God does through us what God does for us. So, yep. All right. That was a soapbox sounding moment. But I mean, when you get a title, God, my mind, what are you going to do with it? That's what you're going to do with it. You're going to figure it out for yourself. All right. So the mission today, should we choose to accept it? This is her line. I acknowledge that this is my mind, my all intelligence. I can know nothing outside of this one mind, for it is all knowledge and understanding. I am asking you to recognize the omnipresent mind is within you. That's the mission today, should we choose to accept it. It's not a small mission. I'm not even going to tell you it's an easy mission. I am going to tell you it's not a hard mission, but I'm not going to tell you it's an easy mission because it does require that you do your own work. And that's where we are. We are all doing our own work, and we are all walking each other home, and we are all holding our lanterns up so that we light each other's paths. So that is the mission today, should we choose to accept it. Acknowledge the one mind that is within you. And that everything that you want and need is available in that mind. And you just may need to be quiet and listen. Not always easy for those of us who like to talk. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to be quiet too. But when I have something to say, I got something to say. So the other one mission that I give you every day, same mission I give you every day, which is, it is a spiritual practice, the spiritual practice of self-care. I encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like. The easy examples are to take a deep breath before you speak, especially when you speak to yourself, to take a nap, to take a walk, to take a break, to give yourself space. Especially if you're working on this whole, mind, give yourself the space to, and give yourself love and kindness and compassion. If you're going to live a life of service, you can't pour from an empty cup. That's why I talk about this spiritual practice of self-care every day. When I went through ministerial school, they just crammed that into us. It's like, to do this job, you must take care of yourself. Now, we talk about you don't want your cup to be overflowing because then there's not room for anything new, but you can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to take care of yourself. Now, I also remind you that in this practicing love, kindness, and compassion on yourself, it also looks like saying no, especially to something that's just really draining you. But it also looks like saying yes to something that pushes you a little out of your comfort zone. I'm going to go meet an author tomorrow who has definitely pushed themselves out of their comfort zone. And I give her absolute props for being willing to come to Texas. So I'm going to go and support her. And that is saying yes to something out of my comfort zone too, because I'm going to go downtown Houston on a Thursday night. But that's what we do. I'm going to push myself a little out of my comfort zone. I'm excited. So practice self-care. Now, I'm also going to remind you, along with the taking the naps and the breaks and the yes and the no, along with that self-care comes eat dessert first. Okay. What I mean by that is don't save the good stuff. Okay. Your life is a special occasion and we never know how long we're going to be given. So, wear the nice clothes now. Use the fancy dishware and glassware and silverware now. Don't save it for that once a year. Use it a little more often than that. Burn the nice candles, write in the nice notebooks, do things that are special more often. Okay. And you know me, I'm a big believer chocolate can fix everything. It may not be the whole solution, but it's definitely a good first step. And since we're talking about, using the mind, I'm going to remind you, joy is a quality of God. Okay. Joy is a quality of God. So along with that, which means it's a quality of you, which means you have access to it. Whatever is going on in the world, whatever is going on in your life, you deserve joy. So I'm encouraging you to make room for it. Now, I talk about practicing love, kindness, and compassion on yourself for 3 reasons. 1, I'm encouraging you to create a habit. When you practice every day, you create this as a default setting, as a first response. I want you to create a well-worn path to the source of your own being by practicing love, kindness, and compassion on yourself. I also frequently say, you are your own best test subject. Is this the most loving, kind, and compassionate action that I could take? Word that I could say? You know what? You get immediate feedback. And then the third reason, which is arguably the most important, you're a beloved child of God. You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. You also teach people how to treat you. Okay? When you practice love, kindness, and compassion on yourself, you teach people that is how you are to be treated. When you practice love, kindness, and compassion on others, you teach people, this is how I will be treated. I am going to treat you this way. This is how I will be treated. So practice on yourself. All right. You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. Absolutely. And you deserve your own more than anybody else's. So start there. Okay. I don't know where I am. So I guess I'm at the part where I will, the other usual self-care. Do something to engage your mind and your body, whatever that looks like. Drink plenty of water. We got a hair of a break, and I'm not sure it didn't hit 100 degrees yesterday, but we had some wind. The hurricane was, it wasn't even a hurricane, it was tropical depression, was way south of us. So, we would like some cool breezes and we would like some rain. We don't need it in a hurricane, but triple digits. So I encourage you, as I always do, your brain works better, your body works better, and your skin looks better when you are well hydrated. So drink plenty of water. Hydrate. Big believer in hydration. Okay. And then, early in your day, bright light. There were no clouds today. We had clouds yesterday. We had clouds for a couple of days. It was a tease. So I went and got my early in my day bright light, got that early sunlight so that I could, get my day started, get my circadian rhythm clicking along on the right path. So, 5 to 10 minutes, all I'm asking for. And if you get up before the sun, you can't get out in that 7 to 9, artificial light will work too. So, all right. And if you need a little bit more than that, Google seasonal effect disorder lamps. That is that is the right wavelength of light to stimulate that circadian rhythm. All right. Where was I? Oh, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you you do live in heaven right here, right now. It's all around you all the time. That is what we are talking about today. She says God is my mind. God is your mind. We are all using the same mind that Jesus used. We are using the Christ mind, okay? And that's what it is. When we open the windows of our soul, we look around and we recognize, you know what? We all come from the same source. And honestly, we're all trying to get to the same place of knowing that we're okay. And when we open our soul, we recognize that. When we recognize that heaven is a state of mind, a state of consciousness, not a place we have to get to. Because I just said that. It's, we're all trying to get to the same place. We're all trying to get to that heavenly mindset. The world just works better. I can't take you to heaven, but what I can do is I can get there myself, and then I can hold the door open, and that's what I'm going to do by when I walk around in that heavenly mindset. Then I'm a safe place. I'm a calm place. I'm a place for you to come and rest from the storm that you may be going through. You can come and rest in my safe, in the harbor. It doesn't mean I'm going to tolerate bad behavior, because I ain't going to do that. You are not going to bring your storm into my calm. But if you're willing to leave your storm at the door, you're welcome into my calm. And that's what we're talking about. That's when we open the windows of our soul. That's what we are practicing. All right. And you can always take him as advice. Look for the good and praise it. I mean, it's such a simple concept, and yet science has proved there are two ways to change your mood. One, gratitude. Count your blessings. Every religion's got that right. Count your blessings if you want to change your mind. And volunteer. Do something good for somebody else. Random acts of kindness. When I say volunteer, it doesn't have to be organized. Just do something nice for somebody else. It will uplift your mood. Science proves it. You don't believe me? You can look it up. All right. I am going to jump into the social media. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. I encourage you to check them out. I'm particularly proud of the YouTube channels, mostly because they're my baby. The playlists and how they're organized. If you did not know, my favorite Ernest Holmes book, and probably if you talk to any Science of Mind minister, it's in our top 5. This Thing Called You. I found out there wasn't an Audible copy of it. So I was like, you know what? So I read it to you on YouTube, and it is on both channels. So you can go to either YouTube channel and look for the playlist that says This Thing Called You. It's like 16 chapters, and you're talking 8 to 22 minutes, I think was the longest one. No commentary. I just read you the book. You get to figure it out. Okay. So yeah, check that out. If you want to know what's going on with the center, email info@creativelife.org. That will get you on the constant contact, which will have links to all of that stuff. So, take care. It's available for you. info@creativelife.org. Okay. I'm at the part where I get to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonder-filled day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a kind day, a compassionate day, a drink plenty of water day, a consciousness day, a consistent day, a prosperity day, a looking at things in a new way day, a taking care of business day, the week's halfway over day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You're enough, just as you are. You're a beloved child of God. You are a divine spark, a brilliant light. You are God in motion. You are spirit in action. You are, as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, a godling. Okay? Know the truth of your being. Know the truth of your being. Explore the truth of your being. As I heard in one of the readings recently, peel back the layers of who you have been told you are and come to know who God knows you to be. All right? That's what she's talking about today. Recognize that the mind that you are using is God's mind. Peel off all of the layers that society and culture and religion and gender normatives and all of that have told you. And get to know who you are on God's level. I can promise you, it's really great. Okay. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. Take care of yourself and know that you are loved. I will see you next time.